What if your mind became an unbreakable force, immune to the chaos and pressure of the world? Imagine moving through life with a core of steel, where no setback can truly break you, only refine you. This power isn't gifted, it's built. It's forged in the quiet moments of discipline and a fierce refusal to let external circumstances define your inner worth. While most people fracture under stress, a trained mind sharpens. It doesn't panic, it calculates. It doesn't chase ease, it creates progress. And while others seek validation, it operates with a quiet confidence that needs no applause. This isn't arrogance, it's a profound understanding of your own potential. The Stoics knew this secret. Marcus Aurelius wrote that our power lies within our mind, not in external events. Grasp this, and you find an unshakable foundation. Seneca observed that our anxieties are often fabrications of our own imagination, and Epictetus declared the true freedom is self-mastery. They all pointed to one undeniable truth. Mastering your mind is the ultimate form of liberty. In the next few minutes, you will learn the precise methods to construct that kind of resilient psyche. How to think, communicate, and act with such certainty that hesitation avoids you. You'll learn to remain composed when everything falls apart, to view pressure as your training ground, and to make your silence more commanding than any noise. Because when your mind becomes your primary asset, the world transforms from a battlefield into your domain. So starting now, train your consciousness like a martial artist, because a centered, disciplined, and courageous mind is intimidating to those who are not. First, make reading a non-negotiable daily ritual. Many claim to desire intelligence, but never open a book. They discuss personal growth, yet their days end without a single page turned. Your brain is like any other muscle. Without consistent exercise, it atrophies. Without new challenges and information, it remains limited and ineffective. Reading is the most efficient way to construct a mind that operates on a different level. It is the hidden tool that divides common thought from exceptional insight. Absorbing books fills your head with perspectives and understanding most will never possess. Every chapter you consume hones your intellect and deepens your comprehension. While others fritter away hours on empty entertainment, you are developing strength in invisible ways. Your language skills grow. Your problem-solving capacity enhances. Your perception of reality becomes more nuanced with every book you finish. Literature contains the accumulated wisdom of individuals who dedicated their lives to learning profound lessons. By reading their work, you inherit their knowledge without enduring their struggles and errors. The compounding effect of reading is its true magic. One volume might introduce you to 10 new concepts. The next builds upon that foundation, adding more. After a year of dedicated reading, you possess hundreds of ideas most people will never encounter. Your mind becomes a repository of applicable knowledge, while others remain vacant. This understanding guides you to superior decisions, more meaningful dialogues, and the ability to spot opportunities others blindly pass by. Begin by reading for just 15 minutes every morning before anything else. Do this before your first meal or preparing for the day. Select books that impart valuable lessons about reality, human nature, or skills you wish to acquire. Do not squander this precious time on narratives that merely amuse but do not educate. Pick works on history, philosophy, psychology, economics, or any topic that captivates you and forces you to think. Never cease learning, especially when the material feels challenging. The difficult texts are frequently the ones that trigger the most significant growth. Keep your book where you will see it immediately upon waking. Make reading the default, easier option. If you wait for motivation, you will seldom read. Inspiration is fickle. Discipline is permanent. Forge the habit so deeply that missing a day feels unnatural. Benjamin Franklin read voraciously whenever he could, even as a young, impoverished printer. He couldn't purchase books, so he borrowed them from anyone willing. He stayed up late reading by candlelight after a full day's labor. Sometimes he skipped meals to afford a volume he deeply wanted. By his later years, his intellect was so formidable that he contributed to the founding of a nation. He became a scientist, inventor, author, and statesman because reading constructed a mind capable of achieving the improbable. He demonstrated that reading builds a consciousness that can alter reality, regardless of your starting point. Second, engage in daily writing to clarify your thoughts. Your internal monologue can be a chaotic storm of ideas, repeating and colliding without coherence. Until you externalize them onto paper, they control you, not the other way around. Most individuals allow their thoughts to remain a tangled web their entire lives. They never systematize their beliefs. Writing compels your brain to think with precision and bring order to confusion. It converts chaos into structure. When you write, you uncover your genuine beliefs and identify areas needing work. Concepts that seem brilliant internally often appear flawed when written down. Problems that felt overwhelming become manageable when articulated on the page. Writing forces you to confront your own reality. You cannot escape your own words. Your mind becomes organized rather than cluttered. This practice leads to self-awareness that surpasses most people's understanding. Others will notice the clarity of your thinking and speaking because your thoughts have been refined through consistent writing. Writing also allows you to monitor your evolution over time. When you document your challenges today and review them months later, you see how much you've developed. You detect behavioral patterns. You observe recurring mistakes. This recognition is the initial step towards correcting them. Without writing, these cycles remain hidden and you repeat the same errors indefinitely. I know someone who writes every single night, without fail. After 1 year, they resolved issues that had perplexed them for a lifetime. Their cognition became so structured and lucid that people began seeking their counsel on everything. Friends who previously dismissed their views now requested their wisdom. This person became known as the sage in their circle, simply by dedicating 10 minutes each night to transcribe their thoughts. The practice transformed an ordinary mind into something extraordinary. Third, consistently confront your fears. Fear is what keeps most people confined and feeble throughout their lives. They retreat from anything that induces discomfort or anxiety. They evade tough conversations, new challenges, and unfamiliar environments because these things generate unease. But fear is merely an emotion, and emotions can be managed. Fear is not a monster you must obey. It is simply your brain's mechanism for trying to protect you from perceived danger. When you face your fears head-on instead of fleeing, your mind becomes tougher than titanium. Avoiding fear teaches your brain that you are fragile and incapable. Every time you retreat from something frightening, you reinforce a narrative of helplessness. Your brain learns to amplify the fear next time. The anxieties grow until they dominate your existence. Soon you're afraid of countless things that have never actually harmed anyone. You construct a prison from fear and live inside it.
Confronting fear teaches your brain that you are resilient and competent. When you do something that terrifies you and come out the other side, your brain realizes the fear was an illusion. The catastrophe you imagined did not occur. You managed the situation. Each time you do something scary, your confidence expands and your limits stretch. Your brain begins to trust you more. Eventually, nothing feels beyond your reach. You become the type of person who embraces new experiences without hesitation, while everyone else remains paralyzed. Fear loses its potency through repeated exposure. The first time, your heart races and your hands tremble. The second time is slightly easier. By the 10th time, the fear has diminished to almost nothing. This is how courage is born. People aren't born fearless. They repeatedly face their fears until those fears become powerless. Compile a list of everything that frightens you. from minor anxieties to major terrors. Select the smallest fear and conquer it this week. Experience the fear fully, but act in spite of it. Let the sensation wash over you, then proceed regardless. Then choose the next fear and overcome that one too. Continue until fear becomes your compass for growth rather than your jailer. Eleanor Roosevelt was terrified of public speaking, but she compelled herself to do it anyway. Her voice quivered and her hands shook every time she addressed an audience. She delivered hundreds of speeches, even though the anxiety never fully vanished. But by confronting this terror repeatedly, she became one of the most influential and respected women in history. She proved that you don't need to eliminate fear to achieve greatness. You only need to act despite it. Her courage was born from action, not the absence of fear. Fourth, cultivate a habit of rigorous questioning. Most people accept what they're told without critical examination. They adopt ideas simply because they are popular or an authority figure stated them. They never scrutinize beliefs to verify their truth. They follow the herd blindly, like lemmings marching off a cliff. But a powerful mind does not follow blindly. It asks difficult questions and searches for authentic truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable or goes against the grain. When you question beliefs, you separate fact from popular opinion. You begin thinking for yourself instead of allowing others to do your thinking for you. This makes your mind independent and immune to manipulation. People may become wary of you because you cannot be controlled by simple falsehoods or emotional pleas. You see through propaganda and flawed logic that ensnares everyone else. Your capacity for clear thought makes you a threat to those spreading deceit. Questioning everything doesn't mean rejecting everything. It means examining ideas critically before accepting them. Some beliefs will withstand scrutiny and prove valid. Others will disintegrate under close inspection. The goal isn't to become cynical and distrustful of all things. The goal is to build a mind that can discern truth from falsehood. A questioning mind is a formidable mind. Whenever someone presents a fact, ask if it's genuinely true. Seek supporting evidence. Seek contradictory evidence. Consider opposing viewpoints and assess their merit. Think deeply before forming a belief. Never accept an idea merely because it sounds pleasant or because influential people endorse it. Influential people are frequently mistaken. Popular opinions are as changeable as the weather. Only truth remains constant. Ask yourself who benefits from you believing certain ideas. If someone is trying to persuade you of something, what do they gain if you agree? This question uncovers hidden agendas that people often disguise. Someone selling you a product has an incentive to overstate its benefits. Someone in power has a reason to convince you they deserve that power. Always look beyond the surface to discover the real motivations behind the words. Read arguments from people who hold opposing views on significant topics. Study both sides meticulously. Notice which arguments employ solid evidence and sound reasoning. Notice which rely on emotional manipulation and logical fallacies. Train your mind to distinguish the difference. The more you practice this skill, the sharper your intellect becomes. Galileo questioned the universally accepted model of the cosmos. For centuries, people believed Earth was the center of the universe, with the sun and stars revolving around it. This belief seemed obvious and intuitive. Everyone important agreed. The powerful leaders of his era ordered Galileo to cease his inquiries and accept the established truth. But he refused to stop questioning. He peered through his telescope and gathered data. His questions demonstrated that the old beliefs were entirely wrong.
His mind was so robust and self-directed that it changed humanity's comprehension of the cosmos. He suffered greatly for his questions, but he would not lie about his discoveries. His independent reasoning mattered more than his comfort or safety. Your mind becomes your strongest weapon when you learn to think for yourself. Fifth, reframe your relationship with failure. Most people despise making mistakes so intensely that they avoid taking risks. They remain in safe, comfortable ruts, never attempting anything significant. The dread of being incorrect paralyzes them into inaction. But errors are not your adversary. They are your most effective instructors, revealing exactly what you need to learn. A mind that learns from failure becomes unstoppable because it evolves with every setback. Every mistake demonstrates what doesn't work, bringing you closer to discovering what does. Success is often just failure plus the lessons learned. When you stop fearing failure, you liberate yourself to attempt bolder ventures. You can experiment and test new methods without the crippling burden of perfectionism. Your development accelerates dramatically, while others remain stagnant in their safe spaces year after year. People who never fail are those who never attempt anything difficult. A life without mistakes is a life without growth, challenge, or meaningful achievement. The most significant failures often precede the most significant breakthroughs. Many individuals quit right at this pivotal moment, never realizing how close they were to success. Learning to appreciate mistakes means viewing them as stepping stones, not obstacles. When you err, don't feel shame or surrender to despair. Instead, analyze what went wrong like a detective solving a case. Ask what you can learn from this experience. What warning signs did you overlook? What assumptions proved false? What would you do differently next time? Document the lesson so you remember it. Then try again with your newfound knowledge and refined approach. Make this a routine, and you will learn faster than anyone around you. While others are avoiding mistakes, you are accumulating invaluable insights. Mistakes also teach humility and empathy. When you fail, you gain an appreciation for how challenging certain endeavors truly are. You become less critical of others who struggle with similar issues. You develop compassion and patience. These qualities make you a better leader and friend. People trust and respect those who have failed and learned more than those who have never ventured beyond the safe and familiar. The key is to fail forward. Some people repeat the same errors because they never extract the lesson. They blame misfortune or other people instead of analyzing their own choices. This is futile suffering that teaches nothing. Failing forward means distilling the lesson from every mistake and using it to improve. Each failure should make you wiser and more resilient, not more defeated. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times in his quest to create a reliable light bulb. People mocked him and called him a fool for wasting his time on an impossible dream. Investors withdrew their funds. Critics said he should quit and admit defeat. But he stated that every failure taught him something valuable about what doesn't work. He learned from each attempt and tried a different approach the next time. Because he cherished learning from mistakes instead of fearing them, he eventually succeeded and created an invention that illuminated the world. His perseverance in the face of failure altered human civilization forever. Those who laughed at his errors are forgotten. His name endures because he refused to let failure deter him from trying again. Sixth, master the art of remaining calm under pressure. When crisis strikes, most people lose all mental control. They panic, shout, or freeze like a deer in the headlights. Their emotions overwhelm their cognitive functions, destroying their ability to think rationally. But the individual who remains composed in chaos becomes the natural leader everyone looks to. A tranquil mind is a powerful instrument that slices through confusion and fear to find solutions. Serenity during turmoil is a superpower that few cultivate. Panic makes you irrational and impotent. Your brain ceases logical operation and reverts to primal emotional reactions. You make poor decisions because fear has taken the wheel.
You cannot resolve problems when panic is shrieking in your mind. Calmness allows you to think clearly and find answers even in seemingly hopeless situations. When you command your emotions instead of letting them command you, you can handle any circumstance life presents. This inner stability unnerves people who are ruled by their feelings, because they cannot comprehend how you remain steadfast while they disintegrate. Staying calm doesn't mean you are indifferent to the problem. It means you care enough to think clearly so you can actually resolve it. Panic mimics action, but achieves nothing of substance. Calmness appears passive, but is actually concentrated thought leading to effective action. The calm person evaluates the situation, considers alternatives, and takes deliberate steps. The panicking person scurries in circles, achieving nothing while feeling busy. Practice maintaining composure during minor irritations first. When something annoying happens, take 3 deep breaths before responding. Notice your frustrated feelings emerging, but don't instantly obey them. Observe them like a scientist studying an experiment. Feel the anger or anxiety fully, but create a small space between the emotion and your reaction. Train yourself to pause and reflect before you speak or act. This pause is where your true power resides. Over time, this skill becomes automatic and extends to handle larger crises. Build your calmness muscle with daily practice. Sit quietly and breathe slowly for 10 minutes each morning. When your mind begins racing with worries, gently guide it back to your breath. This teaches you that you control your attention. Your attention does not control you. The more you practice this in peaceful moments, the simpler it becomes during stressful ones. Remember that most emergencies are not true emergencies. People panic over situations that are merely inconvenient or uncomfortable. They treat minor setbacks like disasters. A calm mind recognizes the distinction between a genuine crisis requiring immediate action and a problem that simply requires patient problem solving. This discernment prevents you from exhausting energy on false alarms. Observe how calm individuals behave during trouble. They slow down instead of speeding up. They soften their voice instead of raising it. They ask questions instead of jumping to conclusions. They collect information before deciding on a course of action. These habits signal to everyone else that the situation is manageable, thereby reducing collective panic. George Washington remained impeccably calm even when his army was losing battles and his soldiers were starving and deserting. The British forces were superior in number, equipment, and training. Many of his officers advocated for surrender. While others panicked and wanted to quit, Washington made lucid decisions and held everyone together through sheer force of composed leadership. His equanimity under extreme pressure helped father a nation. If he had panicked like everyone else, America might never have gained independence. His steady mind in turmoil altered the course of history. People followed him not because he promised easy victory, but because his calmness provided hope in the bleakest hours. 7th, value original thought over imitation. Most people are conformists in a massive flock. They dress like everyone else, think the prevailing thoughts, and do what's popular. They observe trends and immediately mimic them without scrutiny. They are terrified of being different or standing apart from the crowd. But original thinking generates everything of value in this world. Every invention, every pivotal idea, every human advancement originated from someone who thought differently from the rest.
Copying others traps you in perpetual mediocrity. When you think independently, you perceive solutions others completely miss. Your brain isn't locked into the same patterns as everyone else's. You generate novel concepts. You become invaluable because you offer something unique that can't be found elsewhere. People who only imitate will never be as potent or successful as someone who generates new thoughts and creates new methodologies. Independent thinking doesn't mean disregarding all advice or rejecting accumulated wisdom. It means processing information through your own judgment instead of accepting it uncritically. You can listen to others, consider their perspectives, and then make your own informed decision about what to believe and do. You use others' wisdom as raw material, then sculpt it to fit your unique context and principles. Stop asking what other people would do when facing a decision. Sit quietly and ask what you genuinely believe is right based on your own values and understanding. Disregard trends and popular opinions that shift constantly. Study a problem from all angles and form your own conclusion. Trust your own judgment even when others disagree. If you turn out to be wrong, you'll gain valuable experience. If you turn out to be right, you'll have solved the problem your own way. Most people fear being incorrect more than they desire being right. This fear shackles them to popular opinions that may be utterly false. An independent thinker would rather be wrong while thinking for themselves than right while blindly following the herd. The former builds strength, the latter builds weakness. Notice how much of what you believe originated from your own reasoning versus what you absorbed from others. Many of your opinions might simply be echoes of what parents, teachers, or friends told you long ago. Interrogate these borrowed beliefs. Examine them closely. Retain those that survive scrutiny and discard those that crumble. Original thinking feels uncomfortable initially because you have no crowd for cover. You stand alone with your ideas. This vulnerability frightens most people back into the safety of imitation. But this discomfort is where expansion occurs. Your mind grows when you think thoughts nobody else is thinking. I know a person who resolved a major community issue by thinking completely differently from everyone else. The town had a dangerous intersection with frequent accidents. The entire community insisted the only solution was expensive traffic signals the town couldn't afford. But this person ignored conventional wisdom and devised their own approach. They studied how people actually use the intersection and redesigned the layout in an unconventional, low-cost way. It worked perfectly, and accidents plummeted to nearly zero. Now, everyone seeks this person's advice because their independent thinking produces results that copying never can. This person became a leader simply by refusing to think like everyone else. Eighth, seek regular solitude and silence. People today are more afraid of silence than ever before. They fill every moment with noise, chatter, and activity. They cannot sit still without doing something or saying something. But the most resilient minds are built in silence and solitude, not in constant distraction. When you sit alone with your thoughts in utter quiet, you discover who you truly are beneath the performance and pretense. Silence allows you to hear your own inner voice instead of the cacophony of others drowning it out. You can contemplate profound questions without distractions pulling you in countless directions. This practice dispels confusion, like sunlight burning off fog. It helps you discern what genuinely matters to you versus what you pretend matters due to social pressure. Most people never do this, so they never truly know themselves. They live their entire lives as strangers to their own minds. In silence, you face truths you normally avoid. You cannot distract yourself from uncomfortable feelings or difficult questions. This confrontation is painful but essential. The thoughts and feelings you flee from in noise will pursue you indefinitely. The thoughts and feelings you acknowledge in silence will eventually find resolution. Silence is where you process experiences, heal old wounds, and make sense of your existence. Regular silence also trains your attention span and focus. When you can sit silently for 20 minutes without restlessness or boredom, your mind has developed genuine strength. You gain sovereignty over your own attention instead of being a slave to the next distraction. This capacity for deep focus becomes more valuable each year as most people lose it completely. Reserve 20 minutes daily for complete silence. Go somewhere private where you won't be interrupted. Do not fill this time with any activity. Don't read, plan, or organize. Just sit and observe your thoughts. Let your mind wander where it will. Let it settle into stillness. Some days your mind will race with worries. Other days it will become peaceful. Both are valuable. Don't judge your silence as good or bad. Simply practice it consistently. The first few attempts will feel unbearable. Your brain will scream for activity. It will invent urgent tasks. This resistance is normal. Your mind is unaccustomed to silence and rebels. Keep practicing. The resistance diminishes over time. Silence unveils insights that noise conceals. Solutions to long-standing problems will suddenly appear during silent sitting. Understanding of confusing situations will crystallize. Creative ideas will emerge from your depths. These gifts only arrive when your mind is quiet enough to receive them. Abraham Lincoln would often sit alone for hours, pondering difficult decisions affecting millions. While others rushed to quick feel-good answers, he took time and silence to consider every facet of complex problems. This habit of quiet reflection made his mind so formidable that he preserved a fracturing nation during its most dire period. His wisdom stemmed not from constant action, but from silent deliberation. He demonstrated that the greatest leaders are not always the loudest speakers, but often the deepest thinkers. His silent hours shaped history more than most people's lifetimes of noisy activity. In the silence, you find the strength the world cannot give you. Ninth, learn the power of a strategic no. Your time is your life, quantified in hours. Every hour wasted on trivial pursuits is an hour of life you'll never recover. Most people give their time freely to anyone who asks. They say yes to every request, invitation, and demand without considering the cost. But individuals with strong minds guard their time like a precious commodity, understanding its true worth. Time is the one resource you can't earn more of regardless of effort. When you say yes to everything, you implicitly say no to your priorities. Your day contains a finite number of hours. Filling them with insignificant activities means your important goals never get attention. You scatter your energy and achieve nothing significant. Learning to say no concentrates all your power on what truly matters. This makes you incredibly effective while others remain busy yet unproductive. Busyness is not productivity. Many people pack their days with activity but accomplish nothing meaningful. They stay busy to feel important or to avoid confronting harder truths. But the strongest minds know that executing a few important tasks well surpasses doing many unimportant tasks poorly. Quality triumphs over quantity in every aspect of life.
Before agreeing to anything, ask one critical question. Does this advance my most important objectives? If the answer is no, then decline politely but firmly. Do not feel guilty about protecting your time. Your time is invaluable and you must defend it from those who would waste it. Most requests are not urgent. Most invitations are not opportunities. Most demands on your time benefit the requester more than they benefit you. Saying no feels uncomfortable because humans naturally want to please and avoid conflict. But every time you say yes when you should say no, you betray your own priorities. You choose someone else's agenda over your own. You teach people that your time has no value. Eventually, you wake up realizing years have passed without progress toward anything you genuinely cared about. Learn to say no without apology or lengthy justification. A simple, "No, I can't commit to that," works perfectly. You don't owe everyone a detailed explanation of your schedule. Adults shouldn't need to justify their choices to every person who makes a request. Some relationships will suffer when you start protecting your time.
Friends who benefited from your constant availability may complain. Family members accustomed to making demands may become upset. This discomfort reveals the nature of these relationships. True friends and loving family will respect your boundaries. People who only valued you for what you provided will leave. Let them go. This creates space for better relationships with people who respect you. I know someone who began saying no to every request that didn't align with their core purpose. Friends initially protested, accusing them of selfishness. Family complained they had changed. But this person held firm, protecting their time. Within 2 years, they achieved more than in the previous decade. They completed abandoned projects. They built desired skills. Their focused mind became so powerful and their results so impressive that everyone sought their secret. The same people who criticized them for saying no eventually asked how they became so successful. The answer was always identical. They stopped wasting time on things that didn't matter. 10th, pursue goals that genuinely intimidate you. Modest goals create small lives filled with forgettable accomplishments. When you only aim for what feels safe, your mind never develops strength. You remain inside your comfort zone, unchallenged. But when you set objectives so vast they scare you, your mind must expand to even conceive of reaching them. Impossible goals compel you to evolve into a different person. Monumental goals force you to acquire new skills you never imagined needing. They make you think in novel ways and question unexamined assumptions. They push you beyond every perceived limit. Even if you fall short of the ultimate goal, you become far more capable than before you started. Failing to reach an audacious goal still places you far ahead of those who only succeeded at safe ones. Most people set goals based on what seems realistic. They look at their current state and envision a slightly improved version. This thinking traps them in mediocrity. Your present self cannot imagine what your future self might achieve under maximum pressure. Small thinking yields small results. Pay attention to the goals that make your heart race with both excitement and dread. These are the goals worth pursuing. If a goal doesn't intimidate you at least a little, it probably won't transform you much. Fear signals that significant growth lies on the other side of that challenge. The greater the fear, the greater the potential metamorphosis. Write down one goal that seems nearly impossible yet deeply excites you. Make it specific and concrete, not vague. Instead of get fit, write complete a marathon. Instead of be successful, write build an organization that helps 10,000 people. Dissect this enormous goal into smaller, actionable steps you can take this week. Work on it daily, even with minimal progress. Progress compounds over time. Believe you can achieve this goal even when others say you can't and when your own doubts scream that you're being absurd. Major goals also attract different people into your life. Individuals with small goals surround themselves with other small thinkers who never challenge them. People with huge goals draw ambitious individuals who inspire and push each other to greater heights. Your peer group influences your outcomes more than almost anything else. Expect doubt from others. They will advise you to be realistic and avoid disappointment. They will list reasons your goal is unattainable. These people aren't trying to harm you, they're projecting their own fears and limitations. Smile politely and disregard their skepticism. Use their doubt as motivation to prove them wrong. John F. Kennedy stood before America and declared the goal of landing a person on the moon and returning them safely, though no one knew how to do it. The technology didn't exist. The knowledge was undiscovered. The goal seemed ludicrous to many. Scientists claimed it was impossible within his time frame. But this colossal goal forced thousands of brilliant minds to think in entirely new ways and solve unprecedented problems. They invented new technologies and discovered new methods. They achieved the impossible because the goal demanded it. If Kennedy had set a small, realistic goal like marginally improving existing rockets, none of those breakthroughs would have occurred. The terrifying goal launched humanity beyond Earth and proved that humans can accomplish anything if the goal is sufficiently inspiring to elicit maximum effort. 11th, Teach what you learn to solidify understanding. When you learn something new and keep it to yourself, you only half understand it. Your brain thinks it knows the concept because it recognizes the terms. But when you explain that concept to another person, you must comprehend it thoroughly. Teaching forces your mind to organize knowledge clearly and fill gaps you didn't know existed. Until you can explain an idea simply enough for anyone to grasp it, you haven't truly mastered it yourself. Explaining ideas reveals holes in your understanding. You discover what you know solidly and what you only thought you knew. When someone asks a question during your teaching, you either have a solid answer or realize you need further study. This process makes your knowledge firm and reliable instead of hazy. Plus, teaching multiplies your impact on the world far beyond what you could do alone. Teaching also cements knowledge permanently in your own mind. You might forget something you read once. You will never forget something you taught to 10 people. The act of repeated explanation burns concepts into your memory. Teachers often say they learned more from teaching than they ever did as students. This happens because teaching is active, while passive learning is by nature passive. After learning anything valuable, find someone to teach it to. This doesn't require formal lessons. Simply share the knowledge in conversation. Explain the concept to a friend. Write about it. Discuss it. Answer their questions clearly. Notice where you struggle to explain certain parts. Then study those sections more deeply until you truly understand them. Make teaching a regular habit. Teaching enhances your communication skills in all areas of life. When you practice simplifying complex ideas, you become better at expressing yourself in any situation. People understand you more clearly. Your words carry more impact. You become persuasive and influential because you've trained your mind to communicate with precision.
You don't need to be an expert to teach. You only need to know more than your student. Someone who learned something yesterday can teach someone who hasn't learned it yet. Don't wait for perfect mastery before sharing knowledge. Start teaching as soon as you learn something worth sharing. Be patient with your students. Recall your own initial confusion. Explain the same concept in multiple ways until it clicks. Encourage questions. Create a safe environment where admitting confusion feels natural, not stressful. Teaching keeps you humble by reminding you how difficult learning can be. Watching someone struggle with a concept that now seems obvious reminds you of your own past struggles. This builds empathy and patience, qualities that improve all your relationships. Socrates became one of history's greatest thinkers not by hoarding knowledge, but by constantly teaching others through dialogue in the public square. Teaching sharpened his intellect like a whetstone on a blade. Every student question forced him to think more profoundly. Every explanation strengthened his own grasp. His thinking became so potent and clear that it influenced human thought for millennia after his death. His legacy came not from private knowledge, but from public teaching. He proved that the ultimate way to master knowledge is to give it away freely to all who wish to learn. 12th, prioritize observation over speech. Most people talk incessantly and listen very little. They are so busy speaking or waiting for their turn that they learn nothing from conversations. They interrupt, finish other sentences, and talk over people. But the most powerful minds belong to those who watch carefully and speak only when they have value to add. Silent observation teaches more than endless chatter ever could. Watching and listening shows you how the world truly operates beneath the surface. You see patterns others miss because they're too busy talking to pay attention. You understand people's real motives by observing their actions, not just accepting their words. Actions reveal truth. Words often obscure it. You accumulate wisdom while everyone else is just making sound. When you do speak, your words carry immense weight because they are rare and considered, not common and careless. Listening demonstrates respect that builds trust. When you truly listen to someone without interrupting or formulating your response while they talk, they feel heard. This forges stronger relationships than any amount of clever talk. People remember those who listened to them far more than those who talked at them.
In every scenario, watch for twice as long as you talk. Pay attention to actions, not just words. Notice small details others ignore. Notice who speaks first and who remains quiet. Notice who interrupts and who waits. Notice facial expressions, body language, and tone. These details communicate things words never do. Ask yourself, what is truly happening beneath the obvious? Speak only after careful thought, when you have something worthwhile to contribute. Observation teaches cause and effect. You see which actions produce which results. You notice which behaviors lead to success and which to failure. This knowledge is incredibly valuable because it comes from real-world observation, not theory. Books can describe how things should work. Watching shows you how they actually work. Quiet people often understand more than talkative people because they invest energy in learning, not performing. Talking feels productive but often achieves little. Watching feels passive but builds the understanding that leads to wisdom. Before speaking in any situation, ask 3 questions. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If you can't answer yes to all 3, remain silent. This simple rule eliminates most speech that wastes time and damages relationships. Your words become powerful because you use them sparingly and thoughtfully. I know a person who spoke very little in work meetings but observed everything intently. While others argued and interrupted, this person studied the dynamics and listened to every perspective. They noticed patterns the talkers missed. They understood the root problems beneath surface complaints. When they finally spoke, after prolonged silence, the entire room listened because their insights were consistently valuable. Their quiet mind became the most respected in the room. Eventually, they became the leader everyone turned to for wisdom because they knew when to be silent and when to speak. Their power came from understanding the most, not talking the most. 13th, deliberately choose the path of greater resistance. Life constantly presents choices between easy and difficult paths. Most people always select the easy option, then wonder why they feel weak and unfulfilled. They choose comfort over growth at every turn, but difficulty builds mental strength just as lifting weights builds physical strength. Intentionally choosing hard things transforms your mind into something extraordinary, capable of handling any challenge. Easy choices make life comfortable now, but lead to misery later when you realize you never grew. Difficult choices make life difficult now, but lead to amazement later when you discover your newfound strength. When you consciously choose difficulty, you build the mental muscle to handle anything. Challenges become opportunities. Problems become puzzles. Your brain develops only when challenged beyond its current capacity. Easy tasks use existing neural pathways. Hard tasks force your brain to create new pathways and connections. This is the literal mechanism of a stronger, smarter brain. Every time you choose the hard path, you are building a more powerful brain.
Find small ways to make your life slightly harder. Take the stairs. Do the difficult task first thing. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Have the uncomfortable conversation. Choose the path with more friction. These small acts of choosing difficulty compound into immense mental fortitude over time. Most people gravitate toward comfort and ease, like water flowing downhill. They make countless tiny daily choices favoring convenience over growth. These choices seem harmless alone, but combine to create a weak character. You must actively choose difficulty because your natural inclination pulls you toward ease. Difficulty also builds unshakable confidence. When you regularly do hard things, you prove to yourself that you are capable. This evidence becomes firm self-belief. Someone who only does easy things never knows if they could handle difficulty, living in constant self-doubt. Embrace discomfort as a signal of growth. If something feels too easy, you're probably not challenging yourself enough. The growth zone exists just outside the comfort zone, where things feel difficult but not impossible. Spend most of your time there. Don't choose pointless difficulty just to prove toughness. Choose difficulty that leads somewhere meaningful. Train hard for a specific objective. Learn a difficult skill that creates opportunities.
Have tough conversations that strengthen relationships. Make difficult decisions aligned with your values. Purposeful difficulty builds strength. Random suffering wastes time. Spartan children in ancient Greece were raised with intentional hardship from birth. They trained in cold, without adequate clothing, experienced hunger, and practiced enduring pain. To modern sensibilities, this seems cruel, but this difficult upbringing built minds and bodies so strong that Spartan warriors became legendary. 300 Spartan soldiers once held off a vast army because difficulty had made them unconquerable. Their enemies had superior numbers and resources, but the Spartans had superior minds forged through years of choosing the harder path. While other armies fled from trouble, Spartans stood firm because difficulty was their normal state. They proved that deliberately chosen hardship creates a strength that luxury and comfort can never provide. 14th, systemize powerful actions into automatic habits. Your mind operates on habits daily. Everything you do regularly becomes automatic because your brain creates efficient neural pathways for repeated actions. Most people build weak habits accidentally through negligence, then wonder why life is hard. They develop habits of complaining, delaying, and excusing without awareness. But you can construct powerful habits intentionally that make strength your default. When your positive habits are robust, success requires minimal effort. When a good action becomes habitual, you no longer need willpower. It occurs naturally, like breathing. This means you can stack numerous powerful habits until your entire life runs on automatic excellence. While others struggle with basic decisions and deplete their willpower, you advance effortlessly because beneficial behaviors happen automatically. Willpower is a finite resource, depleted throughout the day. Decision-making drains it. Resisting temptation consumes it. By evening, most people have no willpower left and make poor choices. Habits don't require willpower. A strong habit executes automatically, regardless of motivation. This is why highly successful people often credit their habits, not their willpower. Select one powerful action and perform it at the same time in the same way every single day. Don't miss a day for at least 60 days. Mark each day on a calendar. This visual chain of successes motivates you to maintain the streak. After about 2 months of daily repetition, the action becomes part of your identity. Your brain accepts it as normal. Then add another habit using the same method. Start with small habits, taking less than 5 minutes. Don't attempt to build 10 major habits simultaneously. This ensures failure. Build one small habit solidly, then add another. One tiny habit compounded over years creates massive change. 5 tiny habits compounded create a completely transformed life. Link new habits to existing routines to solidify them. If you already drink coffee every morning, add your new habit right after. Your brain will connect the two actions, and the new habit will ride on the established routine's coattails. This technique makes habit formation much easier. Bad habits function identically, but in reverse. They happen automatically because of repetition. Breaking bad habits requires disrupting the automatic pattern and substituting a better behavior. This feels difficult initially, but becomes easier with repetition. Your habits reveal your character more accurately than your goals or intentions. Anyone can say they want success. Your daily habits show if you're serious. Someone who rises early, exercises, reads, and works focused daily will succeed despite obstacles. Someone who sleeps late, avoids exercise, watches television, and procrastinates will fail no matter what they claim. I know someone who decided to build 5 morning habits to transform their life. They committed to waking early, exercising for 20 minutes, reading for 15, writing for 10, and planning their day for 5 minutes in that exact sequence every morning for a full year. Initially, it felt like torture. They had to force themselves out of bed. Every action required immense willpower. They nearly quit after the first week, but persisted. After 2 months, the routine began feeling easier. After 6 months, it became automatic.
Now these 5 actions happen every morning without conscious effort or willpower. Their mind became so disciplined through this practice that impossible goals now seem attainable. They accomplish more before breakfast than most people do all day. Their success appears magical to others, but it's merely the power of habits constructed deliberately through patient, consistent repetition. If you found this blueprint valuable, do the channel a huge favor and hit the like button. It helps more than you know, and it tells the YouTube algorithm that this is quality content for the Winds of Thought channel. Your support fuels this mission.